Hey, this is Kelly. Sitting here with Scott tonight from Saving Abel. They're going to play tonight and rock the house here in Madison, Alabama at 11th Frame Live. How are you doing tonight?
I feel great. It's our second time here, and I'm pretty sure we're going to sell it out again. So, good night for a rock show.
Well, I appreciate you having the time to sit down with me tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to ask some questions. I want to know the first album that y'all released with Scotty and Steven was the Bloodstained Revolution. How did the fans, what was the reaction to the new placements?
It was interesting at first because it was very much, for me, it was still very much Saving Abel, just with a different edge. It was still the same guitars, same bass, same primary songwriting. It was just different vocals and drums. Drums are hard to get a grasp on a live performance. You can see a lot of difference. In the studio, it just kind of remained the same. So the main difference was probably just Scotty. And what I heard resoundingly from our longtime fans was, this is different, but I can get down with it. It sounds kind of like all the stuff that we love from Saving Abel that was a little on the heavier side, just more of it. And I'm fine with that because we're all closet metalheads at Saving Abel. We still love a good ballad, but it was just, that was the resounding thing that I heard from our audience was, it's the same Saving Abel with just a grittier, edgier sound, and we're okay with that.
Now, how did y'all come about finding them?
Our management at the time, literally, we just threw caution to the wind. We had gigs on the books, and he was managing Scotty and Steven's band called Trash the Brand. And I live in Memphis, and they were from Jackson, Tennessee, right up the road on the Music Highway, halfway between Memphis and Nashville. So we didn't know what it was going to be like. I heard his vocals. He came over to my house, and he was just like, hey, man, this is really weird for me. Just so you know, I'm more of a guitar player than a singer. I hate singers. And I was like, well, come on in, buddy. We're going to be just fine, And then here we are almost 2 years later. So I think it worked.
Tell me, you have a lot of musical background history yourself. You started in church?
I did not start in church. I started in middle school and high school. I sang in for me, it was in 5th grade. You had a choice when you had a break. You could either go to reading class or choir. And I was like, choir. Because I just didn't want to read, which is funny because now I read a lot. But I ended up just staying very involved in music, and I discovered the electric guitar probably around 8th grade, and I soon became the lead guitar player in my band instead of the front man.
And what age were you when you started your first band?
8th grade. We were called Great Scott because there were 4 of us and 3 were named Scott. Yeah, and then I ended up going to college in Memphis, Tennessee, and getting a degree in classical guitar performance and teaching, and I don't know, after a lot of weird turns, it led me down the road to the Saving Abel boys, and here we are.
How old were you when you met up with them?
I was 26, and at 27 we sparked label interest, and we signed when I was 28, so that was almost a decade ago.
Wow. Oh, you're getting old.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding. Now,
it's my parents' fault.
Yeah, good thing. Now, there are a couple songs I'll ask you about. Y'all have a song that actually was on Grand Theft Auto. Tell me about that song, and how was it chosen to be on there? How did y'all find out about that? Or
I actually don't remember which one it is. Tell me which one it is.
The Sex is Good.
Yes, okay, I do remember that. We had a really great label for us working at the time. That was at a time when labels could still really kind of control things. It was, that's kind of a dark story, not because of us, just because of that era in music. As a radio rock band and with major labels, I'm not saying anything about the pros and cons of illegally downloading or anything like that, but labels really weren't making any money when people found out how to steal the music.
Exactly.
So it's just really shaken the very foundation of what we do. But at that point in time, we had a label that was getting us. It was Virgin Capital, the same people that signed the frickin' Beatles. I sat in one of those 4 chairs and signed, those iconic chairs. And they really, we were writing great music, and we were really appreciative of where we were and who we were becoming as musicians and just as better men. And they helped shape us and mold us and teach us a lot of things. that is now sort of just in the past, you know, like that world is different now. It used to be that they controlled all the placements and they could just outsource to various companies because of their relationships that they'd cultivated for 50 years. They were able to put us in front of, you know, we did Jimmy Kimmel, we did Letterman, and we got all kinds of placements. I have to say that was all Virgin Capital, and we can't thank them enough for it.
How did y'all vote upon going into your own record label? What made that decision come about?
Well, you know, there's something about being your own boss. And you think when you're in like a platinum selling rock band that you're just your own boss, and it's ultimately not the case. You're answering to record label execs, and again, it was okay for us because they were convincing us that we were the boss, which is their job.
Yeah.
And, you know, we learned a whole lot. And after leaving Virgin Capital, we went to E1, which was an independent label, and we didn't really jive with those guys. So we split after the Bringing Down the Giant record.
Yeah.
And we were like, you know what? If we're gonna like be our own bosses, let's actually be our own bosses. If we own the label, who can dictate what's right or wrong or good or bad except us? And so that was the initial premise with that. But as soon as we founded that label, we went on tour and did 300 shows last year. So we haven't had a whole hell of a lot of time to do anything with it.
Exactly. Well, let's see.
You did your homework.
I did. I have all kinds of homework.
There's going to be a test later.
Yes, there is.